Skywatch Media News for the end of February 2018. Hello everyone. In late January of this year, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientist advanced the symbolic Doomsday Clock a notch closer to the end of humanity, moving it ahead by 30 seconds. It is now set at 2 minutes to midnight. The organization now believes the world is not only more dangerous than it was a year ago, it is as threatening as it has been since World War II. The Doomsday Clock is as close to midnight today as it was in 1953 when Cold War fears reached their highest levels. Every year, the organization sets the clock as a visual representation of the likelihood of a man-made global catastrophe. Since 2007, it has also reflected the dangers of climate change, as well as new developments in the life sciences and technology industries that could inflict irrevocable harm on humanity. Whenever the clock is reset, two basic questions are on the table. Is the world safer or at greater risk than it was the previous year? But more importantly, is the world safer or at greater risk than it has ever been in the clock's history? In advancing the famed clock, the group noted that the global security landscape darkened as the international community failed to come effectively to grips with humanity's most pressing existential threats, which are nuclear weapons and climate change. You may recall the errant alert that was given to Hawaii residents and tourists earlier this month. In big, bold letters, this is the alert that was provided to the public. I'm sure the first thought that crossed the minds of the Hawaiian residents when they heard that alert is whether there is a safe place where they can go, and how can they protect themselves and their family? Well, this photo taken at the time of the alert exemplifies exactly what some terrified families were doing. They were placing their children in storm sewers. Here is the alert that was seen and heard over the internet and radio, followed by the alert across the cable TV airwaves.
The U.S. Pacific Command has detected a missile threat to Hawaii. A missile may impact on land or sea within minutes. This is not a drill. If you are indoors, stay indoors. If you are outdoors, seek immediate shelter in a building. Remain indoors well away from windows. If you are driving, pull safely to the side of the road and seek shelter in a building or lay on the floor. We will announce when the threat has ended. This is not a drill. Take immediate action measures. Missile may impact on land or sea within minutes. This is not a drill. If you are indoors, stay indoors. If you are outdoors, seek immediate shelter in a building. Remain indoors well away from windows. If you are driving, pull safely to the side of the road and seek shelter in a building or lay on the floor. We will announce when the threat has ended. This is not a drill. Take immediate action measures.
American citizens are notoriously unprepared for aggressive attacks from almost all known entities, both man-made and natural. Threats that are real and could happen at any time, placing tens of millions of people in harm's way or without the proper resources to protect themselves. This is a wake-up call that teaches humanity an important lesson. Misconceptions and accidents like the one that was initiated in Hawaii can ultimately escalate into a nuclear confrontation. The outlook for the environment is also a major concern. 2017 was among the warmest years in recorded history, and one in which the effects of climate change were keenly felt. Hurricanes lashed Texas, Florida, and the Caribbean, and wildfires scorched the American West, Southern Europe, Chile, Siberia, even in Greenland, where the ice sheets are melting at an incredibly fast pace. All over the world, floods are wreaking havoc and displacing millions of people who are forced to leave their homes and places of business. Animals, birds, and wildlife are behaving in strange ways, being affected by the change in the world's climate. They are dying in large numbers, which points to the real possibility of another mass extinction on the planet. The severity of the weather will ultimately lead to massive crop failure, which in turn will lead to world hunger. These are the threats that face us all. The so-called Doomsday Clock is meant to awaken humanity to the warning of global danger. There is an urgent need to address the dangers of nuclear engagement and the continuous progression of climate change and weather anomalies, with the desire to rewind the clock. This can only be accomplished by due diligence on our part. We alone will determine our fate through positive change, and we alone have the freedom to act. It should come as a little surprise to our viewers on YouTube and on our Facebook page that Skywatch Media is committed to informing the public about events that seldom get the undivided attention of the mainstream media. We believe that there are far too many things happening on Earth and in the sky that deserve your attention. And so we strive to keep you informed, which is and has been our main purpose. The changes taking place today on Earth could very well be attributed to what is happening in our sky, in the upper atmosphere, and well beyond. The idea that something very significant is lurking in the solar system is not as far-fetched a notion as some have concluded. If we consider the unprecedented weather anomalies that are happening all across the globe, and how the sky is becoming unrecognizable in these latter days, then we begin to realize that there may be more to the story of these oddities than mere climate change, or even the hibernation of our sun during a time of solar minimum. The two-sun phenomena is something that should be taken more seriously and not merely dismissed as a hoax, as NASA and the mainstream media have done in the past. Even if 99% of the published images on this subject were found to be unsubstantiated, what about the 1% that are credible? Should they be dismissed as well? Although some of our viewers may be among those who do not believe in rogue planets, such as Planet X or Nibiru, which are thought to be part of a binary system, there are just as many that are steadfast in their belief that something is out there that is heading our way, including some rather prominent people that come from all walks of life, including politicians, theologians, scientists, and celebrities. Some of them have actually bet their reputations and their careers on their belief that something quite extraordinary is present in our solar system that is having a profound effect on our planet's behavior and the sustenance of its inhabitants. Recently, I came upon a YouTube video which was published in December of 2017. The video shows an Iraqi government minister in front of TV cameras talking in frank terms about the existence of Nibiru. He also talks about the discovery books of Zecharia Sitchin, what NASA has indicated about the existence of Planet X, and how the Sumerian civilization had discovered the 12th planet long ago. Here is the translated version of what he said.
ربما حتى قسم كبير من الناس في محافظة ذي قار لا يعلمون أن أول المطارات التي أنشئت في كوكب الأرض قبل 5000 سنة قبل الميلاد أنشئت في ذي قار. واللي ما يصدق يقرأ كتاب المؤرخ الكبير المتخصص في الدراسات السومرية زكريا سينشن، أو يعود إلى كتب صاموئيل كريمر، أو يعود إلى الكتاب الذي ألفه أجي ويلز حول هذا الموضوع، والذي يحمل عنوان باللغة الإنجليزية History Begins from Somer. التاريخ يبدأ من سومر. كان يتكلم عن أولى المطارات التي أنشئت في كوكب الأرض، أنشئت في هذا المكان. إن هذا المكان هو أأمن مكان تهبط فيه الطائرات وتقلع منه الطائرات، لأن هناك بعض المؤثرات الجوية التي تثقل تحركات الطائرة وتحد من مناورتها غير موجودة في مطار ذي قار. يعني في مش مطار ذي قار، في كل أجواء ذي قار أجواء آمنة للطائرات، ليست فيها أي مؤثرات جوية سلبية. كل ما يتوفر في أجواء ذي قار هو أجواء إيجابية، بمعنى أن السومريين لما استقروا في هذه الأرض كانوا يعلمون تماما أن هذه الأرض بأجواءها هي أجواء ملائمة للتحليق في الفضاءات، وكان من هنا تنطلق المركبات الفضائية السومرية نحو الكواكب الأخرى. والسومريين أول من اكتشف الكوكب رقم 12 الذي اعترفت به وكالة نازل الفضاء قبل بضعة أيام، والذي أطلقوا عليه نيبيرو، ويدور حول الشمس ب 3600 سنة.
The press conference held by the Iraqi minister in 2016 certainly raises a series of questions. Here's a summary of his press statements according to the English translation. So let's break this down a bit further. The purpose of the news conference was to announce the construction of a new airport. What we do not know is if the minister's rather startling statements were approved by a higher authority or were given of his own accord. There is also some concern as to whether the individuals who were standing behind the minister in the video were aware of his statements prior to the news conference. If the claims made in the video were approved by the Iraqi government, then why did the Western media ignore the claims? We have no idea what prompted the remarks that were initiated by the Iraqi minister, but his claims have been curtailed by the mainstream media. Here is what is known that gives some light to all of this. Ancient Sumerians established one of the Earth's earliest civilizations in southern Mesopotamia, which is now southern Iraq. The Dakai region, where the ancient airport is reportedly located, is outlined in red on this map. The Iraqi foreign minister cited the works of several authors, including Sitchin, who translated ancient American texts that refer to a planet called Nibiru, which is said to orbit our sun every 3,600 years. The claims made by the minister may actually be referring to the report by the New York Times that refers to the document from the Astronomical Journal of the probable discovery of a giant planet beyond Pluto. So the Iraqi minister's claims are most likely speculative without sufficient evidence to substantiate those claims. Even so, these claims do reestablish the belief by many people that something is present in our solar system, that the Sumerians knew of this and recorded it in their text. So in time, we shall know whether the claims made by the Iraqi minister hold any validity. Although the existence of Planet X may appear to be unrealistic to some viewers, there is still good reason to believe that it may be responsible for the dramatic changes that are occurring on the surface of our planet and in the Earth's atmosphere. Evidence points to a transformational change taking place that has stunned scientists and has figuratively shaken the planet. The world may be experiencing a much higher energy level that is electrifying the atmosphere and causing everything on Earth to react at a much swifter pace. If you took a course in physics, you probably remember Newton's third law of motion, which states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. This animated example shows two bodies similar to our Sun and the Earth, with an extreme difference in mass. The X represents the center of the mass of two or more bodies that orbit one another. The reason why the Earth and all of the known planets of our solar system orbit a star is because that star exerts a gravitational pull which acts as a force, following a curved path, which keeps the Earth from shooting off into space. So what we have here is the Sun's gravitational pull, which we refer to as an action, that simultaneously exerts a reaction by the Earth to the force that was exemplified by the Sun. Thus, for every action, there is a reaction. But even though the Sun's mass is much greater than the Earth's, they both are subjected to an orbit around the center of the mass. If we consider the importance of Newton's law to the movement of objects in space and how they are affected by gravitational forces, then we get a better sense of how outside forces that are a considerable distance but still close enough in astronomical terms can also influence the movement of planets and therefore are capable of causing reactionary behavior that includes rotational slowdown or an abnormal axial tilt. There was a recent weather anomaly that happened at the Arctic North Pole that absolutely baffled scientists. Now, temperatures at the North Pole should normally be at their lowest for this time of the year, given the fact that the sun will not rise there until March 20th. But an extraordinary surge of warm air swept over the tip of the planet, actually reaching the melting point as the warmth made its way through the Greenland Sea. It may have soared as high as 35 degrees, which, if correct, would be 50 degrees above normal for this area. The warmth penetrated through the heart of the central Arctic in the region north of 80 degrees latitude, where the average temperatures spiked to their highest levels ever recorded in February, more than 36 degrees above normal. But here's the catching point. Warm intrusions into the Arctic were once a rare occurrence, but are now becoming more frequent, more intense, and are lasting much longer. It seems that as the sea ice thinning begins to melt, it is becoming susceptible to winter storms. The ice is pushed further to the north into the central Arctic, exposing the open sea and releasing heat into the atmosphere from the ocean. The warmer water is having an effect on air temperatures. At the north tip of Greenland, the weather station Cape Morris-Jessup has logged an astonishing 61 hours above freezing during this calendar year, smashing a previous record of 16 hours dating back to 2011. Temperatures at one point reached as high as 43 degrees. The rise in temperatures at the North Pole may be caused by a sudden warming of the stratosphere, which is the atmospheric layer located above 30,000 feet, which is an event that is poorly understood. But the latest surge of warm air over the Arctic is also linked to the massive wave of cold air that is hovering over Europe, called the Beast from the East. Regardless of whether this event will continue over time, it still has a climate scientist worried, stating in blatant terms that they have never witnessed such an extreme winter. What exactly is the weather anomaly referred to as the Beast from the East? Well, it is an unprecedented cold wave accompanied by record low temperatures and snowfall in places that rarely see the white stuff. On February 27th, the first snow since 1956 fell in Naples, Italy, covering the southern Italian city in a mantle of white. In southern Corsica, in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, the beaches were covered with white powder. With chaos and uncertainty growing both on the earth and in the heavens, now more than any time in our personal lives would be a good time to prepare for the events that are certain to bring about great changes to human civilization and a restoration of all things on planet Earth. We are living in the most remarkable time in history. The events happening across the world are a testament to the great transformation that is unfolding before us. Therefore, we must keep looking to the sky, for it is from the heavens that all shall be seen and revealed unto this world and all life.